You bear the mark of darkness is upon you. The words of Grandmother Megret cling to Franz like a shadow as the 5 companions step out of the old Strigani wagon. The air outside is colder than before, or perhaps it only feels that way now. Whatever took place inside, it has left them with more unease than clarity. The soothsayer's cryptic warning still echoes as they rejoin the misted camp. Ibrahim, the young Strigani huntsman from earlier, waits just beyond the veil, arms crossed and lips curled in a knowing smirk. "Did you find answers?" he asks. They do not reply. Instead, Franz and Thaddeus press him about the howling hills, about the map, about the red X marked deep in that forbidding wilderness. Ibrahim says the Strigani sometimes hunt in the hills, but never alone, and never too far from their camp. There are worse things in those hills than wolves, beasts, bandits, other things. He advises them not to go unprepared. Greetings one and all, and welcome back to the Temple of Verena. My name is Brother Clavius. In this series, I recount the exploits of a group of bold adventurers as they journey through Sigmar's glorious empire. Everything you hear is drawn from actual role-playing sessions, playing the fantastic Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and the legendary campaign, The Enemy Within. Real players making real choices and rolling real dice. So without further ado, let's get back to our story. Chapter 3, Ins and Outs. As the group return toward Delbers, the sun begins its slow descent. Thaddeus questions Franz about what Megret said about him. He wants to know what those words meant to Franz. The outlaw shakes his head and produces the green gambling chip from his pocket. Perhaps this is the mark she spoke of. Perhaps not. There's no clear answer, just confusion. Gerhardt suggests the next stop, a place called The Wheel and Anchor, a dockside tavern and inn, known more for bruises than beer, the sort of place where truths slip loose more easily than coin. The others agree. They pass back through the gates before curfew, the tollkeeper nodding as they cross. But just as they reach the bridge, a group of riders thunders past from inside the town, nearly bowling them over. One horse is grey, speckled with white, the only detail any of them catch. Who rides out of town at sundown, and in such haste? Night falls over Delbers on the 16th of Nakhexen. Down by the harbour, lanterns sway in the river wind, and laughter pours out of a half-rotted stone building with peeling paint and low ceilings. The Wheel and Anchor, a dockside dive with a reputation well earned. It smells of old ale, wet rope, tobacco and sweat. A den for stevedores, barge hands, smugglers, mercenaries and people trying to disappear. A wretched hive of scum and villainy in the eyes of most respectable citizens. Gerhardt lights up as he steps through the door, the scent of beer and smoke bringing him straight back to the Peacock in Middenheim, one of the worst establishments he's ever worked for, yet one of the places he felt most alive. The companions spread out, each to their own angle of inquiry. Dwinbar, drawn to the sound of shuffling cards, joins a table of dockworkers engrossed in a game called Scarlet Empress. He watches, listens, learns the rules, and loses a pouch of silver in the process. But beyond the clinking of coins and the thump of tankards, he hears nothing useful. Franz and Cleo stick close. Franz warns his companion to keep his eyes down and let him do the talking. Together, they approach a large, rough-looking man seated alone. A mercenary, judging by the sword propped beside him. His name is Remus Wolf, a caravan guard who's travelled the Howling Hills on several occasions. He confirms what they've already begun to suspect. Mutants, beasts, and worse haunt those woods. You'll want to stick to the main roads and not travel without escort. The Knights Panther may patrol the trade route, but their numbers and resources are few. Franz shows him the green gambling chip, hoping it stirs recognition. It does not. At the bar, Thaddeus spots a familiar face, the Shalian priestess, the same one who protested this morning's burning, now deep in hushed conversation with the barkeep. When she turns to leave, Thaddeus intercepts her, hoping to speak. But the moment she sees his robes and religious symbols, her expression hardens. She calls the Sigmarites zealots, murderers. Ludmilla Ermentrout, she insists, was innocent, a gentle soul, a healer, a singer of songs to orphans and the sick. She cared for the unwanted and the dying, often volunteering at the temple of Shalia. And now she is gone. Thaddeus tries to reply, but the woman is already pushing past him and into the night. The barkeep confirms her words in a quieter voice. Ludmilla was loved, a familiar face in the community. The execution has shaken many. He pours Thaddeus another drink. No more is said on the matter. Elsewhere in the tavern, Gerhardt is drawn to a shadowed booth in the back. A hooded man beckons him in with a whisper. The man speaks low. He knows who Gerhardt is, knows about the alley brawl, knows about the price on Gerhardt's head. But, he assures him, he's no friend of Wittelsbach, quite the opposite. The hooded man speaks of the Middenheim underworld, splintered, nervous, and eager not to appear weak. He claims 2 of Wittelsbach's men are locked up here in Delbers, and a 3rd escaped the town earlier today. Before leaving, he leans in close and whispers one last thing into Gerhardt's ear. One of your companions isn't what he appears to be. And then he is gone. Gerhardt keeps that final sentence to himself. Later, the companions regroup near the fire pit outside the inn. They share what they've gathered. Tales of the hills, rumors of danger, scattered pieces of a story with no clear shape. Then a sound catches Franz's attention. Hooves. A rider crossing the bridge, the same speckled grey horse they saw leave town just an hour before. The rider wears an eye patch. Franz stiffens. Ephraim, the Stragani boy, had mentioned one of the Pegasus thieves wore just such a mark. They give chase. The rider heads straight for the center of town and dismounts at the Great Oak Inn, the finest establishment in Delbers. He stables his horse and vanishes inside. The 5 companions arrive moments later, breathless and unsure what to do. They have no proof, only a gut feeling, a few shared clues, and a map sealed with the very crest of this inn. They enter, all but Gerhardt. Rainer Würz, the innkeeper, greets Dwinbar and Thaddeus warmly, remembering their stay the night before. Dwinbar pays his tab, making polite conversation. But there's no new information, at least not from behind the bar. Franz slips deeper inside. Following wet footprints through the hallway, he's stopped by a hulking figure, an ogre mercenary, massive and scary. This is the personal bodyguard of Burgermeister Klinsmann, the mayor of Delbers. Franz knows this from this morning's witch burning, where he noticed the ogre standing next to Klinsmann. Now, the ogre blocks the hallway and stares at Franz without a word. A door opens behind him. The one-eyed rider exits a private room and heads toward the front door. Franz follows, hopes, gambles. He steps forward and addresses the man directly, makes his pitch. He wants in. Whatever group the rider belongs to, Franz wants a place in it. The man is unmoved, barely listening. He brushes Franz aside, heads for the stables and mounts his horse. But Gerhardt is already there. Hidden in the shadows, he's loosened the saddle straps. Just enough. The rider gallops off toward the eastern gates and moments later tumbles violently into the cobbled street. His coin pouch bursts open. Dozens, perhaps hundreds, of silver shillings scatter across the stones. A suspiciously large sum of money to be carrying around. Gerhardt rushes in, but the man is fast and armed. A pistol flashes. The shot rings out, misses Gerhardt by inches. Whistles pierce the night. The town watch is on its way. The others arrive just in time to see mayhem unfold. The rider, stunned from his fall, lashes out. A scuffle ensues. Fists, knees, elbows, until Dwinbar ends it with a clean, non-lethal blow to the temple. The man slumps, unconscious. Coins glint in the torchlight. Some are swiftly collected and stuffed into pockets. Then a voice shouts, "In the name of the Emperor, drop your weapons!" The Delbers town watch surrounds them, spears and halberds raised, faces taut with suspicion. This is not how they meant the evening to end. And so, good listener, we leave our companions in the street, breathless, bruised, and surrounded. What will become of them now? Who is the one-eyed rider? What was happening behind the closed doors of the Great Oak? And who among them wears a mask of their own? If you were at the table, how would you have handled it? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more tales from the Empire. I have been your humble narrator, Brother Clavius of the Temple of Verena. Until next time, may truth prevail.